Hey, kid, let's take a break soon. Okay. My name is Ethan Parker. I'm working part-time in construction. Just a few months ago, I was a full-time employee at a construction company, but I resigned due to harassment from my boss, which led to a demotion. My sales performance at the company was pretty good, though. Come on, if you don't hurry, the heat will get to you. Okay. I run to the office, following the words of my senior, Can. There's a cafeteria in the office, and that's where we eat our meals. Delicious. Sandwich here tastes amazing after working up a sweat, and the fried chicken is the best. Right, that's the real pleasure of this job. This kind of thing was impossible when I was working at my previous company. If I ate at my desk, I'd be continuously insulted by the department head, Jack Bennett, saying, "A lowlife who can't even raise his sales figures has no right to eat." I hated it, and when I went out for a meal before returning to the company during outside sales, I'd be reprimanded for having the luxury of eating out on a sales visit. And if I tried to get by on nutritional supplements for lunch, can you get enough nutrients from that? That's why you can't bring in any work. Are you so poor that you can't afford a proper meal? I would be yelled at. When the entire sales department's performance was poor, the boss's mood would sour, and I'd be worn out from the constant sarcasm. Eventually, I was blamed for Jack's mistake, resulting in a demotion and a significant pay cut. At the new position, the work was all clerical, which didn't suit me after years of field work. I get so fed up with the tedious paperwork that I decided to resign. To make ends meet, I've been working part-time in construction. Look at you, hustling hard today too. Here's a bonus for ya. Thank you. Ken, my senior colleague, hands me a sports drink. Back when I was stuck at the old company, I never came across this kind of kindness. Compared to those hellish days, this feels like heaven. Plus, construction work is physically demanding, but the pay isn't too shabby. Huh? Got a call from my dad. I frown as I check the missed calls on my cell phone. It's from my dad again. What, again? Your dad sure calls a lot. You guys close or something? Well, it's not really like that. I'm sure it's about that same old thing again. After work, I press the button on my cell phone. Hello, Dad, what's up? It's about the arranged meeting again, isn't it? That's right. Please, they're keen on having you as a son-in-law. You know, Dad, I'm a part-timer now. How am I supposed to get married in this situation? I've told them that, and they're willing to offer you a job for your sake. Please, help out with the family business. Dad pleads with tears in his voice on the other end. He runs a civil engineering business back in our hometown. Someone from his client's side insists on setting up a meeting with their daughter and me. Seriously, what's with these arranged marriages like some political strategy in this day and age? No, the daughter is quite eager. She saw your picture and wants to meet you. What? When did you send my picture to them? Just a little one from your coming-of-age ceremony. Come on, that's an old picture. Cut it out, will you? While I retort to my dad, I can't help but feel a slight interest in the daughter. The fact that she wants to meet me after seeing such an old picture means she must have taken a liking to me on some level, which isn't a bad feeling. All right, if she's saying that, I'll meet her once. Oh, is that so? Thank you. Why is this old man so lighthearted? And so, I ended up agreeing to meet this lady for an arranged date. I never imagined that I would encounter what happened at that meeting. My match, Elizabeth Bennett, was a beautiful woman. With her shiny long black hair, clear beautiful skin, curled lashes, and big eyes, she was quite striking. I was smitten with her the moment I saw her photo. Is this what they call love at first sight? I thought it would be nice if I could marry her. But there was one thing that concerned me. What? Her dad works at the company I used to work for. In Bennett, I had a bad feeling. No way. I dismissed the thought and went to the meeting. and my bad feeling was confirmed. "Hey there, looking good. Shocked over here. Never thought my daughter would fancy a guy like you," she insisted, so I went along with it. Thought she'd cool off after meeting you. There I was, face to face with Jack, my former boss from the old company, someone I thought I'd never see again. And at this arranged date, I was reunited with Jack. I had this nagging feeling, but yes, he was Elizabeth's father. Why would the man who had been harassing me choose me as a suitor for his daughter? My dad stood there, looking confused and lost. "Elizabeth, I agreed to this meeting because you insisted, but what do you see in this guy?" "Oh Dad, you were thrilled about the prospect of a strong connection with a business partner. Wouldn't it be all good if I married Ethan?" I chuckled as she smiled cunningly. Could it be that she pushed for this meeting just to harass me? No, that couldn't be. She wouldn't go through all this trouble just for that. After all, I had no prior acquaintance with Elizabeth. So why did she want to meet me? My head was full of questions. "Perhaps we should leave it to the young ones," said her father with a smile. I glanced at Elizabeth, who just beamed back with a smile. Once our parents left the room, we started chatting, getting to know each other. Feeling more at ease, I decided to ask her something that had been on my mind. "Have we met before by any chance?" "Ah, you really don't remember, do you?" Her expression turned sad, and then she said, "I knew about the harassment my father subjected you to. That's why I agreed to this meeting, to trouble my good-for-nothing father. It was selfish of me, and I apologize for the inconvenience." She bowed her head apologetically. "And we have met before. You may have forgotten, but I remember our first meeting very well." She shared this story. When she was still in college, she was once harassed by a pervert on the train during her commute. It was me who helped her out at that time. "Oh, that time. Yes, Ethan, you dropped your business card holder when you confronted him, and I picked it up. And you brought it back to the company later, right?" "Yes. That's when I realized you worked at an affiliate of my father's company. Jack wasn't my boss at the time. He had been seconded from another company in the group. I always wanted to meet you after I graduated, and if I were to marry, it was going to be you. Then my father was seconded to your company, and I just had to see you again. I asked my father for this arranged meeting. He seemed not to think much of you and was reluctant. When I heard you had resigned, I panicked. I begged my father over and over until he finally agreed." "But how did you know about the harassment?" "My father often spoke ill of you at home." Looking at her embarrassed face, I started to feel awkward. "I'm really sorry, but he's still my father, no matter what. I won't ask for forgiveness. Instead, let me apologize on his behalf. Can we call it even with this?" She bowed deeply. Seeing her like that made me burst into laughter. "Hey, what's so funny?" "I don't know, you're just a very beautiful woman but kind of an oddball, I guess," I continued, chuckling. "I haven't forgiven your dad, but I'm not planning anything against him. Besides, he's now the father of my potential future wife." "That's a relief." A look of relief spread across her face with a warm smile. And then she said to me, "Hey, we can start dating, right? I wonder about that. Dating the daughter of a boss who harassed me would certainly take some guts. Especially since Jack might do something to me again. Don't worry, my dad's a softie when it comes to me. I'm sure he won't do anything anymore." Watching her say that with a laugh, I thought to myself, she really is an interesting girl. Jack was still a concern, but I was irresistibly drawn to Elizabeth. "Please, let's start dating." I bowed deeply to her. "I look forward to it." She bowed back. After that, we went on a few dates, and as expected, she was indeed a bit quirky, but I always had fun when I was with her. Then one day, it happened while we were eating at a restaurant. "This place is great, isn't it? The menu's so diverse, and all the desserts look delicious." Watching her smile as she ate her pasta, I thought she was adorable. She was good at accommodating others. She'd pick places I wanted to go, and for meals, she'd choose casual restaurants that weren't fancy, considerate of my part-time job earnings. Familiar and comfortable spots. Of course, we split the bill, each paying for our own share. I plan to keep working even after I get married. Please understand, she said, smiling brightly. Well, these days, no one expects their wife to quit her job and stay home, I thought. But then she said, my father is insistent that I become a housewife once I'm married. What? I was shocked that there was someone close to her who would say such a thing. Is that man really saying that to his daughter? My father is kind of old-fashioned, she said. Ah, that's the first time you've spoken ill of your dad. Is that really considered speaking ill of him? She wondered, and I chuckled at her words. Sure, Jack had given me a hard time. But I had never badmouthed him. I once asked my dad if he wasn't afraid of getting payback for speaking badly about his subordinates. Do you know what he said? What did he say? He said, that guy doesn't have the guts. That comment irked me a bit. I would have given it back to him if I could. But at the time, I was desperately trying to improve myself to get Jack's approval, despite his constant criticism. And the result was more harassment and a demotion to a regional office. Now that I've quit the company, it doesn't really matter anymore. Plus, he's not my boss now, and I don't need to call him director anymore. But thinking of him as dad in the future, that's something else to consider. Hey, that is. Elizabeth suddenly looked puzzled. Following her gaze, I saw Jack there. No way, you are kidding. Why is my dad here? He must not be okay with us dating. She clicked her tongue and stood up from her seat. Wait, Elizabeth. Dad, why are you here? Elizabeth, how did you recognize me? Jack stood up abruptly, his eyes wide as he looked at Elizabeth approaching him. How did you find me? I was internally exasperated when I heard a familiar voice. To my surprise, sitting opposite Jack was my own father. Dad, what are you doing here? I muttered as I headed towards my father's seat. Stop it. Did you come here to mess up our date? No, that's not it. Jack averted his eyes and fell silent. It's just that. We were worried about how things were going with you two, so we decided to come and check on you guys. What? You know, Jack is a great guy. Never had a chance to talk to him this much before, but we got along really well. My father, beaming with a good mood, continued. When I looked at Jack, he quickly turned his face away from me. I thought you didn't like me. I don't like you, but your father is a good man. Shockingly, our fathers had become friends without us knowing. It seems they had been interacting as business associates since I quit, but they had become closer through this whole ordeal. Your dad told me about you. Seems like Jack had a tough time with his superiors too, and he was taking it out on his subordinates. He was crying about it, my father said. Hey, Mr. Parker, we agreed not to talk about that, Jack protested. And then, I heard from Elizabeth herself that you saved her from a molester back in the day, and Jack wanted to apologize for his past behavior towards you. Really? I never thought you were the one who protected my daughter, and yet I've been so terrible to you. I am truly sorry. I spoke to him as he bowed his head over the table, looking uncomfortable. I can forgive you, but I do want to keep dating Elizabeth. Your harassment has nothing to do with my relationship with her. So you'll date Elizabeth. I am my own person, separate from my father, Elizabeth replied. Well, that's that. Then Jack looked at me, his eyes wide in astonishment. Understood. Please take care of my daughter. My daughter seems to be calling the shots here. Pretty funny. My father said with a laugh. Please take care of me, my future father-in-law. Elizabeth replied with a smile to my dad. Afterwards, I continued working at the construction office where I was part-time and became a full-time employee. One condition for marrying her was to secure a stable job. When I asked the company's CEO to hire me as a full-time employee, he happily accepted my request. "You've been a hard worker, so I'm expecting great things from you." "Yes, thank you so much." The CEO mentioned how hard it is to find young workers willing to take on tough construction work due to the labor shortage caused by an aging population and declining birth rates. So, my offer was something he was more than happy to accept. I'm looking forward to our future together. On the day we went to buy an engagement ring, she said this to me and bowed her head. "I look forward to it as well," I replied, bowing back to her. When I raised my head, I saw her smiling happily. In my heart, I secretly vowed to always protect that smile.